The New York Football Giants have signed 2 more players to their practice squad. Now they have a full 16 players. We're going to go in depth on both these guys. We'll take a look at all 16. Then we're going to talk about what Schoen talked about at his media availability. He was asked about an extension for Xavier McKinney, and it doesn't sound like the X-Man is going to get the bag this summer or this season. Sounds like it may have to wait. We're going to dive into all that in just a second. But first, I need some help from all the Giants Now real ones out there. Go down right now, hit that big red sub button, because it's the end of August, and that means it's the end of the sub battle for the month. And right now, we're catching some L's to some NFC East rival channels. And if you're anything like me, I hate the Eagles and I hate the Cowboys, but I also hate losing to those people. So help Giants Now catch up to some rival channels. Giants videos every day for free. Hit that big red sub button right now. All righty, let's get right into it. The Giants have signed offensive tackle Jalen Mayfield to their practice squad. He was a 2021 third-round pick out of the University of Michigan, still just 23 years old. And when he was drafted in the third round, I talked to our Atlanta Falcons host, Matthew Peterson, about him, and he was always expected to be somewhat of a project. But he got thrown into the fire in his rookie year and actually started 16 games that year, but it did not go all that well for Mayfield. He also did not play this past year due to a back injury. When you look at the stats and PFF grades for him, they are pretty awful. 48.7 overall grade, a 66.3 run block grade, and the pass blocking could not have been worse. 27.6, allowed 11 sacks and 57 QB pressures. He played offensive tackle in college, left guard as a rookie, and then this summer, he switched back to offensive tackle before he was cut by the Atlanta Falcons. He's a young player, but he is still really raw. Has to tighten up on his fundamentals, and I wonder, working alongside a guy like Andrew Thomas and offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, can he be brought up to speed? Can they get any of that NFL potential that people saw in him when he was selected in the third round up out of him? We know that the Giants' offensive line right now is thin. I mean, I guess you could say that about any team in the NFL. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are not thrilled about their team's offensive line depth. I'm worried about the Giants, but I like the idea of adding a guy like Jalen Mayfield, 23 years old, has some upside, just needs to be coached up and really just understand how to be a successful offensive lineman in this league. So before we get to the next player that the Giants have added to their practice squad, I want you to weigh in the comment section. What is your confidence level in this Giants offensive line? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 being you're not confident at all, 10 being you are extremely confident. Let me know what you think down in the comments right now. This next player, Taiwan Jones, that the Giants have added to the practice squad, was very fascinating to me. He is a 35-year-old running back. And when I got the news that the Giants were signing a 35-year-old running back to the practice squad, I was like, what the hell is Oshane doing? Then I did some more research. He is a special teams specialist. 820 snaps on special teams since the 2020 season. He was a special teams captain for the Buffalo Bills in 2021 and 2022. And once again, I'm going to tell you, this business is about relationships. He was a part of the Buffalo Bills when Brian Daboll and Oshane was there. So they go and pick up a familiar face and add him to this roster. And I'm a fan of this move for the simple fact that the Giants' special teams last year, it was one of the bottom in the league. And you get a guy who was extremely experienced, had been a captain for the Bills the last 2 seasons as a special teamer. And anytime you can do that, it's going to help. And I expect him to be active, a part of the active 46 on this roster for games this season. You don't sign someone that's 35 years old to go on your practice squad for them to build up as a player. It's for them to contribute on Sundays. I guarantee the Giants will use all 3 practice squad elevations before they have to make a move on Taiwan Jones. So 16 players have now been added to this practice squad. Jalen Mayfield, we talked about him. Taiwan Jones, who comes from the Bills. I'm calling him a special teamer. I'm not calling the guy a running back. Considering when you talk about the snaps that he's had at the running back position, he hasn't had a carry since 2019. He's a special teamer. Tommy Devito, also back on the practice squad. Reportedly, he was getting interest from the New England Patriots, but Tommy DeVito decides to come back to the Giants. Cole Beasley, also on the practice squad. I think he will be elevated to the active roster once fully healthy. Darrian Beavers, Oshane Ximines, Tomon Fox. Then the two guys we talked about yesterday, Dennis Houston, Tyree Jackson, as well as Tyre Phillips. Those are the first 10 guys on this practice squad. The Giants also have 6 more. All 16 spots are full, and those could change. This will be very fluid throughout the season. Amani Oruwariye, UDFA Dyontae Johnson, 2022 UDFA Ryder Anderson, stand-up Katy, Texas, Gemon Green, Alex Cook, and Ryan Jones. So those are the 16 players that the Giants have on their P squad. Like we said a second ago, those will change probably within the next couple of weeks, as Joe Schoen is always shuffling the back end of this roster as well as the practice squad. Coming up next, is Xavier McKinney going to get a contract extension this season from the Giants? Joe Schoen, in his press conference today when speaking to the media, he wasn't too confident that it would be done. We'll break down that in a second. But first, I need to make sure you are hooked up with our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code chat125. And when you do those two things, put $100 into your account. They're going to match it with a 125% deposit bonus. So you'll have $225 to bet with on game days. I've already got the house on Giants money line week 1 against the Cowboys. We're taking them down Sunday night. You could do the same if you're trying to win some money. Just do it with our proud sportsbook partner, BetUS. One more time, chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125. All righty, let's close out the show with the X-Man extension talks. Joe Schoen said he does not plan to talk about a contract extension with the safety during this season. And you know what? I understand that because McKinney has been injured throughout his career. We'll break that down. But I want to go to this tweet from X back on August 23rd. It said, been unappreciated for a long time now, starting to get old. And I actually had someone on Twitter send me this and said, Marshall, what do you make of it? And I said, I hope he's talking about his girlfriend or something like that, because I hope he is not saying that he is unappreciated by the Giants. But if a deal's not going to get done, maybe this does apply to the contract negotiations. I do still think, though, that the Mexico incident is haunting Xavier McKinney. If you forgot, during the bye week last year, took a trip to Mexico. No problem with that. But when you fall off an ATV, you hurt your hand, you break your hand, and you miss 9 games as you're going into your 3rd year in the NFL, yeah, maybe the coaches don't trust you as much to give you a lot of guaranteed dollars. You look at what he's done in his career, and we all know Xavier McKinney is one of the top safeties in this league when healthy. Look what he did in 2021. He was one of a few safeties that had more than 90 tackles, 5 interceptions, and 11 pass breakups. But you look at the games played in 2022, only 9. Only 6 games in 2020. So the guy has missed time in 2 of his 3 years in the National Football League. And you think about availability being the best ability. What does Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll always say? We want our players to be smart, tough, and dependable. And if you're going to be missing more than half of the games in 2020, you only played in 9 games in 2022, are you really all that dependable? I will say this. If McKinney wants to get the bag, he needs to go and do what he did in 2021. I'm talking about the pick 6 against the Las Vegas Raiders. He was once again voted a captain of this team, so I think that speaks volumes to what his teammates think about him, but he has to get back to being an impact player, being a playmaker on the back half of this defense. And I believe in him. I think he can be that guy. I think he's one of the best safeties in the NFL, and I'm sure he wants to get paid. But is he a top 10 safety in this league? I'm sure he wants to get paid like a top 10 safety, but do the Giants have that type of money to commit to him? You look at the top 10 highest paid safeties in this league, and are we really going to commit $14 million to Xavier McKinney? He's not better than Derwin James, even though he's hurt a lot. Not better than Minka. Jamal Adams might be the most overpaid player in this league. He's not better than Jesse Bates. Harrison Smith, that contract's going to end soon. Justin Simmons just got the bag. Budda Baker wanted a pay raise this offseason. Eddie Jackson's a good player. Kevin Byard's underpaid. And Marcus Williams is solid. Got the bag last year going to the Ravens. Is Xavier McKinney trying to be a part of this list? And do the Giants think he is worth that? Remember, they just paid Andrew Thomas. They just paid Dexter Lawrence. Kayvon Thibodeau's money is going to have to be coming soon. Adoree Jackson's a free agent next year. Barkley's a free agent yet next year. You just gave Daniel Jones $160 million. I wish everybody could get paid, but the rules are the rules. There's a salary cap, and Joe Schoen is going to find a way to get the most out of that. A thing that I don't think bodes well for McKinney is the depth and youth that the Giants have at this safety depth chart. He is no doubt about it, 100% the best safety on this team, but Jason Pinnock is a young player that's on a cheap contract. Dane Belton was a 4th-round pick in 2022. They like the 7th-round pick from this year in Gervarius Owens. Does he get paid by the Giants? You know what? I stand at about a 50-50 chance. It's really going to depend on how much he has an impact this year on the defensive side of the ball. I'll ask you this question. Is Xavier McKinney a top 10 safety in the NFL? I think he's borderline. You decide for me. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I want to hear from all of you down below. And as always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for tuning in to New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. If you haven't yet, give me a follow over on Twitter. I'm chopping it up with Giants fans all day, every day on Twitter. I'm not calling it X, so Elon, piss off, my guy. Give me a follow, though, at @MarshallGreen_.